They say hospitals are built to save lives, but what happens when their walls hold more death than healing? Some old hospitals in America have seen so much suffering that their halls seem to remember every scream, every shadow, and every unfinished story of those who died there. Over the decades, many of these once bustling places of hope have become cold, abandoned shells, slowly rotting with time, but never truly empty. Because according to those who have dared to enter, the spirits of the patients never left. Tonight, we are going to take you deep inside two terrifying true hospital horror stories. Places where doctors once worked tirelessly to cure, but where death eventually became the only patient. These aren't just ghost stories whispered in the dark. These accounts are based on chilling testimonies, real eyewitness encounters, and terrifying reports that have made even seasoned paranormal investigators second-guess stepping inside. The first story takes us into a children's hospital that was closed decades ago, a place where the laughter of young patients was replaced by silence. But that silence was broken again by something no living person could explain. People who've entered this building swear they've heard children crying when no one was there, or seen tiny shadows darting across the empty hallways. The second story takes us even deeper, into a psychiatric asylum hidden far from the city, a place known for its cruel treatments and dark secrets. Those who visit today often leave shaken, unable to forget the feeling of being watched or the echo of voices that do not belong to the living. These stories aren't for the faint of heart. They will make you question what lingers behind locked doors and long-forgotten corridors. So, brace yourself, because once we step inside, there's no turning back. The first story takes us to the outskirts of a small Midwestern town, where an old children's hospital stands forgotten at the edge of the woods. The building was shut down in the late 1970s after a mysterious outbreak claimed the lives of several young patients. Locals say the hospital was cursed. Some even believe it was never meant to heal, but to hide something far darker. From the outside, the building looks harmless enough, red bricks fading with time, ivy crawling up the walls, windows long shattered by storms. But once you step inside, the air changes. It's colder, heavier, like the building itself is watching you. Dust-covered wheelchairs line the corridors, and faded murals of smiling children peel from the walls, their painted eyes following you as you move. In the early 2000s, a group of urban explorers decided to investigate the hospital. They entered through a broken door, armed with flashlights and cameras, laughing nervously as they filmed the empty hallways. Everything seemed fine, until one of them found a small toy car sitting in the middle of a room. It was pristine, untouched by dust, as if someone had placed it there just moments ago. When they turned to leave, the toy rolled across the floor on its own. That was when they heard it, the faint echo of children crying. The sound came from the upper floor, where the pediatric ward once was. But when they climbed the stairs, the crying stopped, replaced by the soft, rhythmic squeak of a bed being rocked back and forth. One of the explorers swore he saw movement in the shadows, like a tiny hand reaching out from behind a curtain. They ran out screaming, dropping their cameras in panic. Later, when they recovered the footage, there was something else, something standing at the end of the hallway, watching them leave. When the explorers finally gathered enough courage to review the footage, what they saw sent chills down their spines. The video showed the last few seconds before they ran. In the dim light at the end of the corridor, there was a shadow shaped like a child, small, still, and facing the camera. It didn't move, but the moment the flashlight beam passed over it, the figure vanished completely, as if it had never been there. Terrified but curious, one of the explorers, Mark, couldn't let it go. He returned a week later, this time alone, determined to prove what he saw wasn't real. He entered through the same broken door and called out, his voice trembling. "Hello? Is anyone here?" The air felt different that night, colder, heavier. Somewhere in the distance, a metal tray clattered to the floor. Mark froze. Then came a faint giggle, the sound of a child laughing softly in the dark. He followed the sound to room 208, the old isolation ward. The temperature dropped sharply as he stepped inside. His breath became visible in the air. In the corner stood a small hospital bed, its frame rusted, mattress torn apart. On it lay a single dusty teddy bear. Mark raised his camera to film, but through the lens, he saw something else. A child, pale, with hollow eyes, sitting on the bed and staring directly at him. But when he lowered the camera, the bed was empty. The bear fell to the floor with a thud. Mark turned to run, but the door slammed shut behind him. The lights flickered, and a whisper filled the room, soft, echoing, like several voices saying his name all at once. The last footage captured was Mark's flashlight hitting the ground as he screamed. When police found the camera 2 days later, Mark was gone. His body was never recovered. Our second story takes us to the dense pine forests of northern Pennsylvania, where the remains of an old psychiatric asylum still stand, a place locals call the Hollow Grove. Built in 1924, it was once a state institution for the mentally ill, housing hundreds of patients in overcrowded wards. But behind its tall stone walls, something far darker than medicine was practiced. Officially, the Hollow Grove closed in 1978 after reports of neglect and mistreatment surfaced. Unofficially, the truth was much worse. Former nurses later admitted that patients were often locked in solitary confinement for weeks, subjected to electric shocks, and experimented on under the guise of behavioral correction. Many never survived those treatments, and their bodies were buried quietly in the woods behind the facility. Today, the asylum is little more than a skeleton of concrete and rusting iron. Windows are shattered, ivy crawls through cracked ceilings, and graffiti marks the walls where once desperate hands had scratched words that no one would ever read. Yet, despite being abandoned for over 40 years, strange things still happen there. Locals who wander too close swear they hear screams echoing through the trees on windless nights. Some claim to have seen a dim light flickering in the old surgical wing, though the building has no power. Others tell stories of hearing soft whispers calling their names, drawing them closer to the gates before suddenly going silent. In 2012, a small documentary crew decided to film inside the asylum for a paranormal series. They entered just before dusk, their cameras rolling. As they explored the main corridor, one of the crew members, Sarah, noticed that her audio recorder was picking up faint breathing, slow, steady, but not matching anyone in the group. When she played it back, a man's voice whispered clearly, "Don't go down there." They should have listened. The warning on the recorder unsettled the crew, but curiosity pushed them forward. As the last trace of daylight faded through the broken windows, the air inside the asylum grew unnaturally cold. Their breath turned visible in the beam of their flashlights, and every sound, every step, every rustle seemed amplified by the silence that surrounded them. The team entered what used to be the surgical ward, a wide room filled with rusted gurneys and shattered glass. Old surgical lamps hung overhead, swinging slightly as if stirred by unseen hands. One of the cameramen, Jason, focused his lens on an old operating table in the center. "Look at this," he whispered. "There's fresh blood on it." Everyone froze. He wasn't wrong. There was a dark, wet stain glistening under the beam of his light. But that was impossible. No one had been inside for decades. Then came the noise, a low, dragging sound from the hallway behind them. It was slow, deliberate, and getting closer. Sarah aimed her flashlight toward the corridor, but the beam flickered, and for a moment, went out completely. In that brief darkness, the crew heard footsteps circling them, light, fast, and too many to belong to just one person. When the lights came back, Jason was gone. His camera lay shattered on the floor, still recording. The footage showed nothing but static, until, for a single second, a figure appeared. Tall, thin, and twisted, its face blurred, its head tilted unnaturally to one side. It seemed to crawl rather than walk. Panic took over. The crew bolted for the exit, their screams echoing through the halls. As they reached the front doors, Sarah turned back for one last glance, and saw it standing at the end of the corridor, watching, unmoving. That was the last anyone ever saw of Jason. His body, like Mark's before him, was never found. Weeks after the asylum investigation, the surviving members of the film crew released what little footage they recovered. Most of it was static and corrupted, but experts confirmed one disturbing detail. The strange figure seen crawling toward the camera was also captured, years earlier, inside a completely different building. It was the same shadow that appeared in the footage from the abandoned children's hospital. Same shape, same motion, the same eerie tilt of the head. Paranormal researchers began to wonder if these hauntings were not isolated events at all, but somehow connected. manifestations of something far more sinister than a restless spirit. One theory suggested that the hospitals themselves had become vessels, places soaked in pain and fear for so long that something dark had learned to live within their walls. It moved from one place to another, feeding on those who entered, attaching itself to their fear like a parasite. The idea wasn't new. Even early doctors at Waverly Hills and Penhurst Asylum once claimed to see shadows that learn. Months later, Sarah, the last surviving member of the asylum crew, spoke publicly about her experience. Her voice trembled as she described nightmares that wouldn't stop. Children crying in the distance, the sound of metal dragging across concrete, and a voice whispering her name from the corner of her room. She believed that whatever they encountered in Hollow Grove had followed her home. 2 weeks after that interview, Sarah disappeared. Her apartment was found empty, lights still on, cameras still recording. The final seconds of the tape captured a faint sound, a child's giggle, followed by the slow creak of a hospital bed. Police dismissed it as an elaborate hoax, but those who've seen the unedited footage say the truth is far worse. The sound didn't come from inside her room. It came from behind the camera, like something standing right next to her. Some places never rest. They carry echoes of every cry, every death, every unfinished heartbeat that once filled their halls. Maybe that's why these old hospitals never truly die. They just keep breathing through the shadows that linger inside. The abandoned children's hospital still stands today, hidden behind tall fences and rotting gates. Locals say that on certain nights, if you listen closely, you can still hear the faint roll of a toy car across the floor, followed by the soft giggle of a child that never grew up. And deep in the forests of Pennsylvania, Hollow Grove Asylum remains untouched, swallowed by vines and silence. But even now, hikers report hearing voices in the trees, one crying, one laughing, and another whispering, "Don't go down there." Both places are real. Both are marked off limits. Yet every few years, someone tries to go inside. Most come out shaken. Some never come out at all. Maybe these are just stories. Maybe they're warnings. But one thing is certain. When a place has seen that much pain, something always stays behind. Waiting, watching, listening for the next visitor to step inside. So tell me, would you dare walk through those doors? Would you spend a single night in a hospital where the walls remember every scream? If you enjoyed tonight's story, make sure to subscribe for more terrifying real-life encounters and haunted tales from across America. Turn on the notifications, because next time, we're going somewhere even darker. And remember, if you ever find yourself near an abandoned hospital and you hear footsteps behind you, don't look back. Some things only appear when you do.